This is a short video, mostly for my own records, but for anybody else's reference should they choose. What we have here today is from the mid 40s, a really nice and very rare sprinkler that you just don't see every day. In the 15 years I've been working with vintage and antique sprinklers, this is the second that's been on my bench. I sold the first to a collector out in Washington. This unit was bought by a fellow collector who has since sent it to me for a cleanup and a restoration. For future reference, that's the reason I'm making this video, these sprinklers need to be cleaned on an occasion, and if you don't know how to take them apart, it's a mystery. So the parts are in order. The little machine screw holds the top of the dome on to the bottom half of the dome. The bottom half of the dome slides onto this tube. This tube screws onto the feed tube, and the toe bone's connected to the thigh bone. The mystery pieces are this solid brass washer, which is concave. It's very important that this washer be put on with the hump facing up because it applies pressure to the next part. The next part is the lock ring that actually holds everything in place. Has a small spring-loaded clip on the side. It's made of solid brass. That clip rides, it also is concave, but that clip rides with the hump down. So basically, the hump comes up, the hump comes down. Those two pieces slide onto the threaded portion of the spray tube. They're sandwiched together with this tube. This piece slides down on there. This piece screws on top of here and is held in place with that. And the whole thing is held together with, at the bottom, there's a little groove here. Let me move this. There's a little groove here, and when you slide this ball, assembled ball, down this supply tube, and it reaches this little clip, it locks in place. One more thing I'm going to point out is whenever one of these sprinklers is disassembled for any kind of cleaning, there's a small tit here on top of the spray tube. That is a tip that's meant to wear down, so it's always important to put a little tack of grease on there. That's what everything rides on. If you don't grease that, that's going to wear down to the point where the sprinkler's just not going to spin as nice. So let's go ahead and put this sprinkler together real quick in this video. Hopefully I can do it one-handed. If I can't, well then we abort the whole thing. And of course, we need to start out with the base. So let's bring the base into view. The base was a pretty nasty looking piece. It was green. The underside was rusted beyond belief. And hopefully the collector is satisfied that the inside cleaned up nice. More importantly, this is what the new top looks like. You could probably use it for a lampshade. So as I said, this spray tube is going to come through this hole. Like I said, this isn't going to be easy doing it one-handed, but it actually happens pretty quick. That pops up through there. The brass washer with the hump up. The brass lock washer with the hump down. I knew this was going to be a chore, but I'm not giving up. Because if at first you don't succeed, there we go. Now I'm going to drop the camera for just a second, and there we go. Now we've got the spray neck screwed back on, nice and tight. And as I mentioned, it's always important to lubricate any moving parts. I don't trust the old lubricants. I've got something here that was made in the 40s that I found at a garage sale, but it's probably the best lubricant you can buy because it's undistilled silicone. So I'm going to put a little daub right like that. And that's probably good for the next 100 years. Now, as I said, it's pretty simple. Now we slide this tube down, and when it reaches that clip, there you go. The cap goes on, You have to be careful to line up the two nozzles. One is a fan nozzle, one is a straight jet nozzle. Once you get fairly close, again, I'm going to set the camera down. And there we go. Trust me, there was no chicanery involved in the during the time that the camera was not focused on the sprinkler itself. It's just a little tough to get the ball back together. Once the ball is back together, this is a very crude video, but the reality of it is there's only one person that really matters when it comes to seeing this. When the ball's all done, you just simply tighten that top screw back up. And there is your chrome spinning ball sprinkler back together. Let's remove the clutter. This sprinkler is just too nice. Enjoy.